I'm fine. I was calling you at 7:03. A tiny, tiny little problem. Yes. Uh, yeah. It's really. And are you Pacifica? How fabulous is that? Yeah. My favorite. I grew up on KPFT, and my mother grew old on WBAI. It must be.
Yeah,
It
so
must be.
so thank you for doing this, Neil. I really do appreciate it.
Sure.
But if it's all right with you, I'm going to get a level from you, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the interview. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. If you would, please say your name and spell your last name.
Neil Grungras, Grungras.
And your position at ORAM is?
Executive Director.
Excellent. Thank you. Neil, tell us, why is it so important to specify 500 of those slots for LGBTI refugees?
Well, it's pretty simple. We haven't been able to get it done any other way. I mean, the LGBT people are probably one of the most persecuted groups in the world. More LGBT people in more countries need to hide and run away, and it's uniform in over 80 countries. So people constantly need to escape. We get hundreds of emails and calls every month from people saying, "I need to get out. I'm going to be killed," and so on. So we know a lot of people are escaping, and yet at the same time, we're told that under 100 people out of 70,000 were admitted to the U.S. as refugees last year. There's something wrong, and what's wrong is, I would say, a pretty good system. The U.S. is generally very generous when it comes to refugee resettlement. The U.S. will take 75,000 people next year, but the system is really failing these refugees. They're not able to get into the system for some reason, and the reasons are pretty technical. But we now know exactly what the problems are. We know how we could fix it. But you know what? If we don't make that commitment by setting a goal and by setting slots aside, we're never going to do it. Because there's always going to be another issue that's more urgent. There's always going to be somebody else who's desperate. And there are lots and lots of people who are desperate in the world, especially today. There are lots and lots of refugees. But you can't tell me that out of all of the LGBT people in the world who are desperate and dying and being killed and being thrown off buildings and being stoned to death, that we can accept only 100.
Yeah.
Something is really, really wrong, and we can fix it.
Tell our listeners what additional hardships that LGBTI refugees face.
Most refugees, when they leave home, have a modicum of safety. Not everybody, but most do. They may be hungry, they may be desperate, they may have to do a lot of really, really hard things to survive, but they're mostly safe. They don't have to be afraid. But LGBT refugees who escape their country of origin typically will have to go to another country where they'll suffer persecution all over again in their new country.
Mm.
So, they have to hide in their new country. LGBT refugees also have to hide from their own people, from other refugees, because some of the worst perpetrators of violence against LGBT refugees is other people from their own country. Mm. So there's no place to go. There's no place to go. And that's why a lot of agencies have come to the conclusion that when you get a refugee who's LGBT, it's pretty likely that they're going to be very, very vulnerable and that they need to be resettled pretty quickly.
Yeah. Hey, Neil, where can people go to sign the petition? We're excited about this petition asking for at least these 500 specific slots. Where can people go to get that information?
Come to our website at www.oraminternational.org.
Well, that's about it, right? How's everything where you are?
It is crazy. Turkey is a hotbed of refugees now. Turkey has more refugees than any other country in the world right now. There are almost 3 million refugees in Turkey today. 2.5 million of them are Syrian. The situation is really, really I guess, for lack of a better expression, seems to be going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, right.
And we're now getting, news that the Russians are in Syria, the Turks have interests in Syria. It's going to be a very challenging period coming up.